Hey guys, and welcome back to the happiest hour on earth. Tonight we're so excited because it is finally time to talk about spooky things.
Oh yeah.
We're so pumped. It's October, Halloween's just around the corner, so we had to have tonight's topic be spooky themed. So last year we did a episode where we kind of touched on the idea of a villain's park, like a full-on park. It was a kind of unreachable idea, but we just thought it would be fun to talk about. Well, at D23 this year, we got the news that they're working on a villain's land within Disney World in Magic Kingdom. So super exciting, but we just thought tonight that we would kind of armchair Imagineer all the specifics of what we would love to see in that land. So we're gonna talk about rides, we're gonna talk about restaurants, we're gonna talk about shops, characters, all that stuff, all the details. So we're so pumped. Let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so for tonight's snack that we made, I'm so excited about it. We had this while we were on our trip a few weeks ago. We had heard all about it and we had to try it, and it is like my new favorite sweet snack in the park. Even though it's seasonal, I believe, which makes me really sad, but I hope that it comes back again next year because it's so good. Definitely not a like Halloween themed snack per se.
It does have two churros, like Maleficent's horns.
Yes, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see what we're talking about.
I don't think that's what they were going
I'm
for.
pretty sure that wasn't the goal of the churros. But this is the cookie butter churro sundae that can be found at the Golden Horseshoe in Frontierland. This is like the best snack, and I knew we had to make it. Super easy to make. I mean, like anyone can make this at home. You just have to pick up the ingredients and put them together in a cup. So we do have a reel that will be out for this by the time this video is out. So go watch it and go make some at home. Let's go ahead and dig in. I'm pumped.
I already know this is going to be good.
Yeah, I know already. This isn't a surprise.
Yeah.
Cookie butter is like the best thing in the world. I have not really had it on like anything up to this point. And now I'm obsessed with it. We have like a jar of it waiting now, and I'm like gonna be finding.
We're gonna do so much with it.
With it.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.
So we're starting with churros.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Which we know are good.
Churros can't get any better. But
until
how
they're
do
in a
you?
sundae.
Yeah. So they're in a sundae, dipping it into that whipped cream, cookie dough ice cream, and cookie butter syrup sauce.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So honestly, the best sweet snack you can find at Disney now. That is crazy good.
It is ridiculously good. We finished it, in case you can't tell when you're watching on the video.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had to pause because
it's gone.
You did not want to see us devour that.
So good. I think it's about $10.
Actually, I think $7.99. So
that's it?
I believe so.
It's actually shocking.
Somewhere around
I would have
there,
thought it would be 10. But
yeah,
it's worth every penny, I must say.
It is. Churro and ice cream. Come on. And cookie butter.
Yeah, and easy to make at home. So if you are not going to be in the park anytime soon, just go pick up the ingredients.
Try right there.
We got most of it at Trader Joe's.
But yeah, most of it except for the churros. Yeah, Smart and Final. You're going to want to get those at Smart and Final. The best thing ever. So with that, should we jump on in?
Let's go.
So before we talk about our vision for this land, we actually posted a story on Instagram asking our followers what they would like to see in a villain's land. And we got some great suggestions from all the lovely people, all of our lovely fans, your listeners, friends, everything. We are just so thankful for all of you. And so we wanted to shout out some here. We got Live, Learn, Dream, Magic. She said, anything with Maleficent. And girl, I am right there with you. Queen of Evil.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
She's going to be in that park.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the only thing that they showed at D23 when they were talking about this villain's park was footage of Maleficent. So they know they have to add her in there. So thank you for your suggestion. Lulu B. Buzzin' Memories, one of our first real listeners and friends when we started this podcast. Shout out to Lulu. She said anything with Jafar. That's one of her favorites. So We also thought about that too, and so you might hear a little bit.
I would say he's one of the darkest, most evil of the men.
The men.
Male.
The women are scarier. Yeah, he is amazing. Do you want to get the next two?
Sure. Also Jordan the Swan, who we are very good friends with. Yeah. She's amazing. Go follow her. She said we need a dragon and dragon's lair like they have in Paris. Mm-hmm. I can attest to this. 100% yes. That is definitely
we saw it in person and it's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Seeing this was unbelievable in Paris. That was my favorite part of that whole park.
Yeah.
So realistic, so cool. They have to add that in.
Yeah. I love that. It was so great.
Totally agree with you, Jordan. Main Street and Beyond said a ride with Chernobog akin to Journey to the Center of the Earth at Disney Sea. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to see that. I bet it would be quite scary.
Yeah. Especially because, I mean, that ride system's so cool. And I don't really think you see too much until like a certain point. So imagine like you're kind of in Bald Mountain or whatever, and then you're just your anticipation is just kind of rising, and then you finally see him near the end. Like that'd be awesome.
Pretty spooky.
Oh man, great suggestion. Main Street and Beyond. So cool.
I think this is one of the best or most creative suggestions we got.
And shout out to this guy because he is so awesome. Another great Disney podcast, the DMSW podcast. We've been talking a little bit here and there. Great show. Yeah. And great dude overall.
Suggestion was a Chapek statue to symbolize the greatest evil we face as Disney fans right now.
As you said that, I was just thinking he probably means like the partner statue.
Yeah.
It's just a bronze statue
totally.
of Chapek. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I agree with you.
Oh man. Yeah,
that would be pretty unique in that land.
If you're feeling the same way, definitely go follow him. He has some good not so lovely Chapek reels on his Instagram. So check him out, and then also check out his podcast. Great stuff. Everyone that we've mentioned, go give them a follow. Great friends of ours, and so thanks again for giving us your suggestions.
Definitely.
So with that,
let's
should we jump
into our own thoughts?
Okay. So first, I'm going to do a little bit of an overview to just kind of paint the picture of what this villain's land would look like. And then we're going to go in and dive deeper into the shops, the restaurants, the rides, and all that good stuff. So villain's land. What are you gonna call it? We went back and forth a little bit with this. Originally, we were thinking villain's lair. Which I think was up there. But then we thought maybe Sinister Square. Because it's going to be a little bit of a smaller land, so I feel like Square kind of fits that. And then Sinister, I kind of like that. And then you're not using the word villain in there.
Exactly.
Which I think is too on the nose. So I think we decided on Sinister Square.
I think so,
you want to go to Sinister Square? Yeah, that sounds good.
I like it. Flows off the tongue nicely.
It does.
It's nice and spooky.
Yeah.
Ominous,
and I always love the double letter thing. There is a word for that. I don't recall what it's called now.
I don't know.
But I like the Sinister Square. Let us know though, because I'm sure a lot of people have, a name in mind. Let us know what you have in mind for this land, whether in the comments below or just hit us up on Instagram because we would love to hear your thoughts. So for ours, we're going to be calling it Sinister Square. And so they described this whole section as the back of Thunder Mountain, what lies beyond Thunder Mountain. And there's also going to be, a Coco section and a Encanto section. So I'm going to paint this picture. Imagine you're in the frontier and you head further south a little bit and you find yourself in a little town called Santa Cecilia. Here you'll see the historical locations of the defamed singer Ernesto de la Cruz. After spending some time here, you continue walking through, and you're starting to get outside of that cocoa area. To the right, you could see a very vibrant house known as Casa Madrigal. There's a lot of music going on over there, looks like a fun place to be.
Yeah.
But to the left, you see kind of the total opposite of this very colorful land. It's actually like a land that's very dark and ominous, and there's this huge archway that's made of thorny vines, and those vines stretch out throughout the land. Along those walls, and then you just kind of see them everywhere you go within this land. And so when you first enter the land, you're in a very kind of seedy looking town that you just know is rampant with dastardly villains. There's not a lot of good stuff going on here. But here, there are some shops right when you enter. There's, in this little town square, there are some shops and some restaurants that we'll talk about in just a little bit. But in the distance, if you veer to the left, you'll see an ominous looking castle that belongs to the mistress of evil herself, Maleficent. And if you make your way over there, underneath the castle, you will find a huge animatronic dragon sleeping in the cave. Shout out to Jordan for this, for her suggestion there. And we were thinking about it as well because we've experienced it, and it's the coolest thing ever. So bringing that part of Disneyland Paris into this villain's land just fits perfectly. So you could do a walkthrough underneath the castle and see, the sleeping dragon that will here and there awake and move their head and shoot out smoke. Just like Disneyland Paris would be amazing. And then inside the castle, there's a way to get inside the castle, but this will be a queue for one of the rides, which we'll talk about later. Think the Harry Potter ride at Universal. You're walking throughout the castle to get to the ride. But outside of her castle, there's a waterway. There's her moat, right out front. And it has a very, a pirate ship that looks very familiar outside. And it belongs to a villain named Captain Hook. So he has arrived at Maleficent's castle for some reason. And we'll figure out the reason in just a little bit. But so there's a moat there, and that's kind of hearkening back to the Jolly Roger that used to be there in Disneyland, because in Fantasyland they used to have the Jolly Roger and some water features in Fantasyland. So kind of bringing that back right outside of Maleficent's castle. But if you were to walk down that first street, and instead of going left towards the castle, if you veered right to the other side of the other corner of the park, you'll notice a huge tiger's head that almost looks like it was made of sand. We know that Disney does very good rock work. Now we're going to see how they do with sand work. And, as you look at it, you've heard legends of this before. And then as you see it in person, you realize that the Cave of Wonders is real and you could go into it. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. But before we jump into all of that good stuff, we want to thank you. I hope I painted a good picture in your brain.
Picture painting of this entrance.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Perfect. I could visualize everything.
You could? Okay, that's good. That was my goal.
He did that whole part, just so you all know.
Yeah.
Very exciting. So basically, at this point, we're just going to kind of break down some of what is there after you've walked in the park, not necessarily the Maleficent section yet. But when you first initially walk into the land, you're first going to be in this kind of seedy area. It looks a little sketch, but there's some shops, there's some restaurants, there's some like carts with, maybe snacks and some souvenirs and that kind of thing. Looks a little sketchy. Like, I don't know if you can necessarily trust these people, but they're there for you to buy from. But the first shop that we came up with would be called Cruella's Couture. So this is going to be a clothing shop, obviously dedicated to Cruella de Vil, obviously, who is a fashionista. So there's going to be lots and lots of clothing in here. Lots of villain shirts, evil spirit jerseys, and lots of other stuff. So as we all know, in Disneyland, there's the spirit jerseys that are very popular. These are going to be the spookier version of that. So lots of good stuff in Cruella's. I'm not sure how big it would be. Guess it would have to be pretty big because it's going to be like the main clothing shop
Yeah.
in this land. So
I feel like in the windows of this area, you could almost bring in the Cruella movie. You know how there's like she worked on a lot of crazy dresses and stuff like that. So a lot of things that you can't buy, but some like crazy designs and fashion that she had done. Then inside will probably be your regular clothes. But
maybe some
of those.
Some kind of interesting, a little more upscale.
Instead of paying like the $200 for the lightsabers at Galaxy's Edge, maybe you buy a nice like crazy fashion statement. Yeah. Oh,
I like that.
That's cool.
Another shop that you would come across is called Dr. Facilier's Toy Shop. So in here, you're gonna find some villain plush toys that are like voodoo doll-esque. So that's just one of the many toys that you can find, but it's also just going to be kind of your overall souvenir shop, like I guess the Emporium would be maybe in Main Street. So lots of good stuff with Dr. Facilier. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the dining options in this land, which I'm really excited about. I think that these turned out really good. Names and just the theming of them is pretty cool, I have to say. So the first one that we came up with is going to be called the Peddler's Provisions. The peddler part of this came from the actual curse that the evil queen puts on herself to become the old hag. It's called Peddler's Disguise. In case you haven't watched Snow White in a long time, that you find that in the book that she's using to do the curse. So Peddler's Provisions, because provisions is another term for food and all that. So Peddler's Provisions is going to be Evil Queen themed, obviously. It's going to be a restaurant, but it also has a to-go bakery on one side because obviously she loves to bake.
If you can't get reservations for the sit down, might as well
you can at least pick something up from the bakery. Exactly. But in terms of the restaurant, we were thinking that this would be kind of the like inverted version of the Be Our Guest restaurant in Disney World. So it's going to be kind of dark and like dungeonous, I guess, but also classy at the same time. Kind of different areas to sit, but the food options we talked about would be like some stews, some chicken pot pie, like kind of like comfort food, kind of warm food, hearty, some schnitzel because technically Snow White is supposed to be in Germany, and some apple themed desserts. Of course, you have to do that. And then there will be alcohol served here. Yeah, this is going to be kind of a like bar / restaurant, right?
I feel like that? A bar in the center that you could go up. Maybe you order it on your phone, and then whenever it's ready, like as you're sitting at the restaurant, you go up and pick it up at this like very cool bar that almost looks like her little where do you do spells? What's it called? Like, what's that pot called? Cauldron. Oh, there it is. Cauldron. So like, it almost looks like that, and maybe every so often the cauldron that they have like lets off a lot of smoke and stuff, and then you get your drink there. So it doesn't have to be a lot of crowding at the bar. You could easily order from your table, go pick it up, and you can still see the vibe of that bar section that's in the restaurant. But it's more of like a pick up and go kind of thing, and bring it back to your table as your food comes out. So but just really, really focus on that spooky, but nice, kind of dining, because this will be your quote unquote sit down restaurant.
Lots of drinks that have maybe some dry ice and get a lot of that smoky vibe going to add to the overall aesthetic.
A lot of green and purple drinks.
Oh, yeah.
We know green and purple are huge in Disney villainy.
Colors.
So definitely things like that. So I love that idea. Did you have anything else on that?
I don't think so. I was pretty excited about this one though. Oh, maybe having the magic mirror placed somewhere within the restaurant. Yeah, because that's a huge part of that movie.
I feel like it could almost be like Rainforest Cafe, where like every so often something happens, and so like every so often maybe the magic mirror comes up
Yeah.
and like says something.
Maybe like somewhere towards like
lights go
the
crazy
middle of the
and
room.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I love it.
That'd be great. So that will be your more sit down type restaurant. For quick service, we are going to, walk a little bit further back towards the castle and where Captain Hook's pirate ship is. This will be also a quick service restaurant. So this one will be called Captain Hook's Galley. And this actually, like I said earlier, harkens back to the restaurant that was outside of Fantasyland in Disneyland for a very short period. I never got to experience it, unfortunately, but I loved that idea. So this will be in that moat next to the castle. This will be a quick service restaurant with fish and chips, chowders, and then the standard stuff like burgers, chicken fingers, all that stuff, right? You just kind of have to have a place that kind of sells that. But not only can you get food here in the galley, we thought that was a good place for a restaurant because obviously in a ship you're gonna have those people making the food. So in the galley you're gonna get your food, but you could also explore the ship. So you could also walk around, go down to the lower deck, and we thought a good way to incorporate another villain, as you're just walking around, is that as you're in the lower deck and you look out one of the portholes, you could see a little Ursula swimming by. So I don't know if that's going to be, I don't know exactly how they're going to
do it,
to do that, but there's definitely some tips there's definitely some tricks that the Imagineers I feel like have used in the past. Where if you're looking out of something like the Nemo submarine voyage, maybe every so often you see like her fins go by or like see her face pop up or something like that. The eels, out of different portholes you can see different things. Maybe a larger one for Ursula, and then the smaller ones you look out and you can see every so often like a eel coming out, which would be really, really cool. So so that's kind of blending the fact that everyone is meeting up at Maleficent's castle for a very special occasion. And so, Captain Hook is out there. You also see Ursula heading towards the castle. And there's a couple other things happening. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But for now, should we talk about some character meet and greets? I mean, we didn't have anything in particular.
Yeah. I think there would be lots of characters to meet and greet. But they would most likely just kind of be placed in their like respective areas. So whatever part of the land is kind of themed more towards Maleficent or, the Evil Queen or Jafar. Yeah. They'll kind of be in those areas every so often throughout the day.
Yeah, so like Evil Queen, she could be outside a little section of the restaurant. Captain Hook could be on his ship. Comes out every so often. Jafar at the Cave of Wonders. Dr. Facilier outside of his toy shop. Cruella outside of her clothing shop. And then that's a good amount right there. But yeah, I think that'd be pretty awesome. Ooh, one thing that I forgot to put in here, but a villain that I wanted to add, even though I don't know if we could do a character meet and greet here, but it just came to my mind. As we were in Universal on this last trip for the first time, we loved that there were play structures for the kids to go let off some steam, and just have a fun time while the parents relax. And so one way to bring in another Disney villain, and like I said, character meet and greet would be really tough, but another movie is to have a smaller, quote unquote, elephant graveyard that the kids can kind of play on. It would be a play structure, but themed towards the elephant graveyard. And yeah, they could just go over there and it's just like a little mini section. Maybe you could have Scar come out, but the only thing with that is he standing on his two legs?
Yeah,
is he walking around on all fours? That's going to be very strange. So I'm not really sure what he could do. I'm trying to think of other animals that have done that in the past.
Keep getting better and better. They could make him walk out like Blue is.
Blue the Velociraptor, yeah. You know what? Eeyore walks on all fours and he's on twos. Scar would probably just be standing up on two legs.
Could be kind of weird with a lion.
Yeah, I feel like
that would look really funny. It'd be like sides hanging down.
I do not want to see a lion on two legs. Yeah. That's a little scary.
I don't know.
But we can figure it out. But anyways, a little elephant graveyard where kids can, play and climb and have fun. Would be a cool way to incorporate that into Magic Kingdom in a spooky way.
And it kind of like because you said like Universal, it just sounds exactly like the Jurassic Park play structure.
Yeah,
So
the
it was a lot
dino
of
play
bones
structure.
and
Yeah.
that kind of thing, which was really cool. So I could totally envision that in this land.
For sure. Yeah, that'd be
So
great.
cool.
So before we jump into, well, yeah, we're gonna jump into rides.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go for it. So Disney usually does. We try to take what they usually do with a new land. Avengers Campus, you have one e-ticket ride and then one like C/D ticket style ride. With most expansions, we usually see this. Two rides.
Too.
Yeah, Galaxy's Edge, yeah, a 2-ride format. And so we're going to take this for this land as well. And so we're going to do one ride that's a little more thrilling and one that's a dark ride, but maybe not like your standard dark ride. But we will get into that in just a little bit. But do you want to start us off with the first one?
Sure. This one, I feel like we have Imagineered about for a long time. I feel like we've always talked about this. And I don't know if it's going to be something they lean towards or not, but I hope so because it is such a good idea. But as you're walking through this kind of seedy town, you can either veer to the left to go to Maleficent's castle, or you can veer right, which is going to take you towards the Cave of Wonders. So that's where this ride is going to be. And it is kind of a flight of passage style ride entitled Jafar's Diamond in the Rough. We came up with that one just a little bit ago. It took us a while to think of something. We finally got it. I think that's a pretty good name. So the queue is going to be kind of similar to like Indiana Jones, where it's long and it's like you're in a cave, obviously. But it's going to take you through the mouth of the Cave of Wonders. So what we've talked about, there's going to be kind of the big structure, the sand structure. You're going to go through that to get in the queue for the ride. So, so you're going to enter through there and you're going to be walking along kind of as if you're in Indiana Jones queue, but there's going to be lots and lots of treasure as you go along. It's going to be kind of laced with treasure chests and gold and diamonds and all these things along the way. And then you're going to enter a room with your boarding group that will have a quick pre-show showing the beauty of the cave. But then you're going to see a Boo touching the treasure, which we all know leads to something very bad.
Not the best thing.
Yeah. So everybody's going to see this happening. It's going to be, I guess, kind of projected on a screen for everyone in your group to see. The ground's going to start rumbling. It's going to be kind of chaotic as if it is in Rise of the Resistance. Like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We have to get out of here. Doors open. You board your magic carpet. So you're going to start trying to escape the cave at this point. That's kind of what the whole point of the ride is. Yeah. So you're going to get to the top and you're going to kind of wind around a little bit and you're going to get yourself to the top and you're going to meet Jafar. You have a little Jafar interaction here. And then he's going to basically like throw you back down into the cave. So you're going to fall back and you're going to fall back on that floor, the dark cave. Then, so you'll be in the dark at this point, but then you're going to see that there's this lamp that's attached to your ride system that was dark before this point. So you couldn't see it, that it was even there, but it's going to light up now that you're at this point in the ride. So it lights up and you realize that it's time to rub the lamp. And then after you rub the lamp, we all know what happens. Genie comes out. Well, smoke first kind of comes out from, maybe not cool. From the lamp, but like on see, your.
Yeah, like if you, probably not from the actual physical lamp, but if it's like facing, the screen, you could make it look like the screen is like, it's coming from here. Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Yeah. And so Genie's going to come out and bring you through the finale of the ride to escape the cave.
Yeah. I think that's great.
It's probably going to be a little bit more like, stuff going on in that time. A lot of exciting, flying around and all that. But
That'd be so awesome.
I feel like that would be such a good ride. And I think we have talked about this for years at this point.
Yeah.
And I would be so happy if it happened.
It would be so great. And honestly, the ride system of Flight of Passage just works perfectly because you are already in that kind of like crouched position. And they can make it probably look like it's like what you're holding on to is kind of like a hard
little
carpet kind of thing. Yeah. And so I think this ride system perfectly fits this ride. And the thing is, we don't really have a lot of Aladdin like anywhere.
No, like not at all.
Yeah. So to do a ride, I think it's been well overdue. And I think it'd be so much fun and perfect for a villain's land.
I know. It would be perfect.
Because then you get to like come face to face with the villain of that movie, Jafar. Then you also get to live out your dream of riding a carpet with the genie. I think that'd be so much fun.
I feel like the only thing is I feel like Jafar would need to be in it a little bit more than just that one moment. Yeah. I don't know how.
Maybe yeah, I don't know. Maybe like in the pre-show you could like see him a little bit more, like reminding you not to touch anything. And then I don't know.
Yeah.
Something. We could put some Jafar in there. Maybe even like as you're in the line, there's like I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll try to get Jafar in there as much as possible.
We didn't think too far on that part,
honestly, I feel like that'd be great. But you might be able to see him in another ride. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
So speaking of other rides, should we jump into the other ride?
No, you jump into this one.
This is the last ride that we have here. So if you are walking down the street, and instead of riding, you're going to, the castle, Maleficent's castle on the left. You're going to enter into the castle and get ready for this ride. So you're walking through Maleficent's castle. Dungeons. They'll take you through multiple different types of queues as you're walking through there. It'd be amazing. And this ride is going to be called Nightmare Phantasmic. So we know this line from the actual Phantasmic Nighttime Spectacular. And so now we are going to get to experience this from the villain's perspective. So this will be a Rise of the Resistance style ride. So or kind of also like the Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, a trackless ride system that allows you to sneak up, go backwards, maybe have some quick turns. But we won't do the drop or anything like that. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more calm than that because we do want a lower height requirement for this.
Yeah, not quite as like old school as the actual dark rides in Fantasyland. Like that ride system is kind of old at this point. I feel like it would be somewhere between that and some of those bigger rides in terms of how the ride system would be.
For sure.
But yeah, definitely a height requirement that can allow for some of the younger kids to go on. Maybe not like really, really little kids. They'll probably be scared anyways.
They'll be scared.
So maybe, like younger, but definitely adults can go on.
Yeah. And so we wanted to have a ride. If we're making a villain's land, you need to have a ride that incorporates multiple villains. You know, you want to be able to see as many of your favorite villains as possible. How are you going to do this? Well, in Phantasmic, a lot of the villains work together to come up with a plan to defeat Mickey Mouse. We thought this would be a great, cool addition that you get to ride through some of the show scenes from Phantasmic, but it's all from the villain's perspective. So that's why we see Captain Hook's ship outside. That's why we, see some other people who are gathered around Maleficent's castle, Ursula swimming to the castle. They are all gathered there to work on this plan to defeat Mickey Mouse. And so the other thing is that it just so happens, we see a couple of villains in Phantasmic, but it just so happens that a couple more villains were actually a part of this plan. We just didn't see it in Phantasmic. So we are going to meet a few more than just the Evil Queen, Ursula, Chernobog, and Maleficent that are featured in Phantasmic. So the story goes, like I said, everyone's meeting up at the castle to go over the plan. First, we see the Evil Queen talking to Maleficent, and the ride vehicle will almost make it feel like we're not supposed to be there. So they might not look at you directly. It's almost going to be like you're creeping in and getting a view of their plan. And so you might be able to see them turn to you, maybe they don't see you. So first, Evil Queen's talking to Maleficent, and then she wants to consult her magic mirror, just like in the Phantasmic show. But that's back at her castle, and she's at Maleficent's castle. But thankfully, Jafar is there, and he arrives to use his sorcery to bring the mirror to Maleficent's castle. So he does a little spell. The mirror's there. They have a conversation with the mirror to figure out the best plan. From here, the team contacts Ursula, as we know is the next scene in Phantasmic. So you find your way into the next show scene. And so this will be, a dark ride with full-on animatronics, although some of the rooms are going to involve projection mapping like Mickey's Runaway Railway. So as you go to the next room, you find that you're on Captain Hook's ship. And so they enlisted Captain Hook to go out to the sea to contact Ursula and to, get her on board. So you're on the ship in the next scene. On board. You're there. So you see Captain Hook, and then you also see, how in Little Mermaid, she grows and goes big right next to the ship. You're going to see a big Ursula face talking to Captain Hook right there. And you're kind of like sneaking around, and you get to see all of that. And so you get to see Captain Hook, Ursula, and then after she agrees to help with this plan, you find yourself in the next room in a very dark outdoor setting. For a second, you're like, wait, where am I at? Like, what's happening? But then all of a sudden, lightning flashes, and you see Chernobog up on Bald Mountain, and there's projection mapping of fire and all those like ghost creepy things like flying around you. And he does his whole thing, and he's an animatronic, so you're really seeing that full depth there while everything's happening around you. And then from there, you enter one final room, and all of a sudden you see a big animatronic Maleficent dragon is coming up, and she spots, as they're working on this plan, she actually spots you. She finds out that you've been sneaking in on their plan to defeat Mickey. And as she's about to attack you, you hear a voice. And it's Mickey Mouse. You look over, and they finally shine a light on him. An animatronic Mickey Mouse, and he's shooting. It's out of his fingers, right? Shooting some fireworks out of his fingers.
This is my dream.
Yeah. And so you could use like projection mapping on the walls for like the fire and the fireworks and all that stuff coming out of Mickey's hands. And you see this big finale scene right there in front of you. So you're like legit in the moment, experiencing one of the most iconic Disney scenes from any Disney show in person, right in the middle of it. And then right after that, you go to the end and you leave unscathed. She didn't get you thanks to Mickey. So thanks to Mickey, some imagination, huh? That was quite the imagination I used on there, because I'm not sure if all of that's possible, but hey, that's my plan.
To imagine, right?
It really is. And so obviously, as we talk about this land, they probably don't have a lot of space. So I could see them not doing as much as this armchair Imagineer sesh, but I definitely see a Maleficent's castle. Definitely needs a ride. I see, a dark ride in there. Then I see like a small spinner ride that is like a evil Dumbo, where you're flying on something. Just a small ride. I feel like that could happen, but at least one big ride. I could see that, and then some shopping opportunities. This is what we would love to see, what we talked about. Obviously, not sure they'll go.
Who knows how much of this could be possible? Probably not. Maybe we're just like way too excited about this. I don't know. But
and this is years out.
Yeah.
This is going to be, because it's still blue sky, they said. So it's just an idea that could be thrown away, because they have done that in the past.
I would be so sad, because everybody's gotten hyped over that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it is just something that has been needed for so long. And I'm like, don't bother bringing something like that into the conversation if you're not going to follow through on it. There's just like,
and it's going to be a moneymaker.
Yeah.
There's a huge percentage of the
for
Disney followers that love the Disney villains. It's going to be, it'd be perfect.
It would be huge.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So I'm so curious. And even once they solidify plans, then they would have to actually build the rides and the land.
It's gonna
probably
take a
wouldn't
long
be yeah,
time.
it'd probably be like 7 years.
Oh my god.
No, I don't know. 5 to
That feels really long. I don't know about
5 to
7,
10.
maybe
I don't know.
5.
It depends on how early they start on it.
And
or
it
if
depends
gets
on
approved,
how
yeah.
much they do with it. I mean,
How much they do with
I
it.
feel like that's the thing.
You
is
know Disney's been doing this recently. Opening with
Copy
one ride
paste.
done and then months later they do the other ride. It's so funny.
I
They
could
always
see
do
it.
that.
And I feel like they're also just going the cheaper route
Reskinning rides.
in a few things. And I really hope that they put a lot into this land if they're going to do it and make it super cool.
But if you think about it, the technology for the Jafar ride is already built. Flight of Passage. So ride system the same, just change the screen and the movements. And then for the Nightmare Phantasmic ride, similar ride system to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. You just need to build the sets and all that stuff. So I mean, they have the technology. So it's just really about the effort that they would put into the show scenes for all that stuff. So that's already it. We got really hyped about this. And I know that everyone is going to have a very different idea on what they would like to see in a Villain's Land. And so we want to hear from you. Really get those creative juices flowing. Maybe there's things that we talked about that you're like, that wasn't a good idea. But that's why we want to hear from you. And we want to be a community that's just very supportive of everyone's ideas. And so everyone has great ideas, and I just love that we're able to hear them and shout them out.
Yeah, me too.
And so
fun. And it's just so fun to imagine this stuff, regardless of whether it happens or not. It's just so fun to like hear what people's ideas are and come up with your own ideas.
Yeah.
And just like get really outlandish with it, because why not?
Yeah, because why not? Exactly.
So fun.
Oh, it's so great. But anyways, thank you so much again for listening to our episode, for supporting our show. Really means so much. We are still having our little giveaway. So if you want to write us a review, a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, DM us that you wrote that review, and we'll send over some Happy Sour on Earth merchandise your way as a thank you.
Next week, we're going to have one final Halloween episode before Halloween is here. Be on the lookout for that. So with that, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you again next week.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.